Hey there, fellow Providence teachers and instructors. My name is Eric Whitaker and I'm your colleague. And over the next several weeks or months, I'm going to be producing these short mini videos and sharing them with you. And what we're going to do is we're going to simply highlight ways to make our teaching purposeful and meaningful. Now, I know you guys are doing a phenomenal job in your classroom already, but I hope these videos are an encouragement to you. Simply reinforce what you're already doing in your classrooms. Now, I'm going to be pulling information from multiple proven resources and recalling my years of teaching and experience and application to hopefully be a blessing to you. I hope these videos are something that you can use immediately in your classrooms and stuff that you can apply, and I hope it's a blessing to you, and I hope it enriches your classroom experience. Guys, at Providence, our planning, as you know, is our blue sheets. Now then, our blue sheet is kind of like a roadmap, and our blue sheet is a very valuable part and vital part of what we do as educators week by week. Imagine going on a road trip. Now the destination will be our final goal. The road markers and landmarks along the way, those are indicators of how close we're getting to our final destination. Now our map, of course, is our mile-by-mile guidance. Now, yes, I've used old school maps like the one you see up here. In fact, I used to be the designated map reader in our family, and I enjoyed and loved reading maps. Today, as you know, Siri takes care of directions for us and tells us where to go and when to turn. Now in teaching, it's like our blue sheets or our road maps. In fact, in teaching, the concepts and the knowledge, that's like our final destination. The informal and formal assessments we provide to our students day in and day out, they give us the indicators on how we're doing at reaching our goal and reaching our destination. Our blue sheets, on the other hand, are like the day-by-day or mile-by-mile guidance or roadmap that we use in getting to the final destination. So how can we ensure that our plans are both purposeful and guiding to our classes day by day? How can we ensure that our students and our parents both understand the roadmap or the directions that we're providing for them? Well, in today's video, we're going to look at exactly that. We'll be looking at ways to ensure our directions are purposeful and understandable. We'll consider ways to make sure that our roadmaps or our blue sheets provide good directions for us, our students, and their families. Our blue sheets are really roadmaps for us, but not only for us as teachers, they're also roadmaps for our students and their parents. Let's first consider ways to ensure that our blue sheets provide clear direction to us as educators. Now, most of us have within our blue sheets two sections. Mine include the in-class section of what we're covering in class. There's also an at-home section. That's usually the Wednesday and the Friday portion. Now, within my in-class section, I type the learning goals that I've created for my students. My learning goals need to address where we're going day by day and throughout each and every week. I always build in multiple learning styles within my in-class section. So, for example, I need to make sure I include activities that support my auditory learners, activities that involve my visual learners, my kinesthetic action learners, and my social learners, and any other learning style as well. So I need to make sure and incorporate learning styles that address all my types of learners within my classroom. Now I'm going to include that on my section, or the in-class section of my blue sheets. On the other hand, our blue sheets also provide direction for our students and for our parents as well. So now let's consider ways to ensure that our blue sheets provide clear direction to our students and to their families. Like I said, most of our blue sheets probably contain two sections. The in-class section, which we use, and the at-home section. That's the section that our families will be using and that our students will be using more predominantly. Now, within our at-home section, we are giving specific directions to our students and to their families. We no doubt understand that what we want the students to accomplish at home. On the other hand, we must provide clear directions to those students and to those parents. So let's consider ways to give our students and their parents a clear roadmap of learning on our blue sheets in regards to the at-home days. Number one, we want to ensure that our blue sheets are specific. Here's an example for you. A few weeks ago, I gave some of my honor students an assignment to complete at home. What they were to do is to read a professor's lecture. Then take that information and answer 4 key questions about that professor's lecture. Now, some of the students, unfortunately to my dismay, they were not as thorough as I would have liked them to be in their response. But then looking back, I discovered it was really my error, not theirs. So, moving forward, here's what I need to do to better prepare them and be more specific for my students. So moving forward, if I were to do this assignment all over again, what I would do is be more specific in my requirements. Instead of simply asking my students to answer those 4 open response questions, what I would do is be specific in what I want them to report back in those open response questions. For example, for one of the questions, they were to read what the lecturer lectured and then tell me his view on a topic. Well, they could easily respond back his view. But if I gave that student more specific direction, if I told the students, I want you to not only tell me the lecturer's view, but also prove it. Prove it by quoting him on 3 occasions. Well, that is going to cause them to give more thorough answers and to support their answers. So you can see what I mean by we need to make sure we're specific. That's a little learning lesson that I learned. I need to make sure that I'm more specific in some of those assignments that I assign out to my students overall. So, in regards to being specific, we need to provide the specific details and our specific expectations that we have for our students so that they can complete assignments, but also complete those assignments well. Sometimes you can even use the second page of your blue sheet to give greater detail and to be more specific to help them out. Sometimes you can also link internet resources to your blue sheet to provide them with more specific detail and information as well. So as I said, for us to be better at planning, for us to be very purposeful in planning our blue sheets, we need to make sure that we're specific. We need to be specific with our students and families. Now then, second of all, something else we can do to help them and to support them is to make sure that we are clear in our expectations and clear in our guidelines that we place upon our blue sheets. So here are some practical examples of how to do that. We need to avoid being vague about the requirements and the expectations we have for an assignment. And you can see I learned that through the assignment that I provided. I learned not to be so vague in the requirements, but to be more specific. Also, we need to make sure that we establish very clear deadlines and clear due dates when we're assigning assignments on our blue sheet. Before publishing our blue sheet, we can even go through and ask ourselves, what questions will students have about this assignment? What questions will students likely have about this expectation? And as we ask ourselves that question, let's ensure that we're providing the student with enough information to clearly answer that question. Now, yes, that requires a little bit more time on our end before we upload our blue sheet into Google Classroom. But if we take that time up front, then we'll likely receive less or fewer questions back from our students for clarification. So let's ensure that we're specific in our blue sheets, but also that we're clear in our expectations for our blue sheets as well. Now, another way that we can be clear in our blue sheets, and this is just a practical, real-world example, one thing I like to do is I like to highlight all my assignments in blue. Now, I do this for a couple of reasons. I do this so parents know what will be graded. So it's very clear that anything highlighted in blue will be graded. Now, for every assignment that I highlight in blue, I've also created that same assignment in Google Classroom. So you look under the Assignment tab in Google Classroom. If it's highlighted in blue on my blue sheet, then it will also be in the assignment section of Google Classroom. Now, this gives all of my virtual students a place to upload their assignment once it has been completed. Now, I do make exceptions for tests because I don't want to post tests on Google Classroom for everyone and anyone to see. So instead, what I'll do for my test is I simply email those tests out to my parents of any virtual students. Once the parents receive the test, they can print that off for their child, have their child complete it, and then scan it and email it back to me. But you can see here, through that organization of highlighting all my assignments, but also making sure those same assignments are included in Google Classroom, it becomes very clear and apparent for my students on where they need to turn in their work. All right, let's look at a third way we can be purposeful in our blue sheets. So we've looked at being specific, we've looked at being clear, but also I would encourage you to use the same terminology throughout. So in other words, if you give an assignment, make sure that you call that assignment by the same name, no matter whether it's in your classroom, on Google Classroom, or in your blue sheet. Because if we start calling an assignment by multiple names, then that's going to be very confusing to our students and very confusing to our parents as well. So refrain from calling assignments by different names. Also, use the same assignment titles throughout the entire duration of that assignment. So like I said, use the same terminology in class and on Google Classroom, on uploaded videos and classroom recordings, and on our blue sheets. Now then, this simply prevents student confusion. And the fourth and final point, what we need to do in order to make our blue sheets purposeful is also think and consider like a parent. So consider the eyes of a parent. Now, sometimes the parents of our students obviously need to jump in and assist a student and come support them from home. When a parent looks at our blue sheet, they don't have a lot of background knowledge or information about our class, especially in comparison to their student or to the child. They haven't listened to our lessons. They haven't heard our explanations. We can also help our parents help our students by following these pieces of advice. Make sure that our blue sheets are specific, they're clear, and that we're using that same terminology throughout. If we're doing that for our students, it's also going to be helping our parents when they need to look at our blue sheet as well. And I would encourage you, before you upload that blue sheet every week, just consider it from the eyes of a parent. If I had a parent looking at this for the first time, what questions might they have? What would be unclear to the parent? And after we ask ourselves that question, what we can do is attempt to answer that question before we click the upload button. And if we do that, I think we'll best help our students and our parents in navigating the roadmap that we supply to them through our blue sheet. So once again, just to recap, let's be purposeful in our blue sheets by ensuring that we're specific, ensuring that we are clear, and also ensuring that we use the same terminology throughout, while also looking at our blue sheets from the eyes or perspective of a parent. All right, guys, I hope this has been a blessing to you, and I hope it will help you and planning and preparing your blue sheets week by week. I know this is new for me. I'm not used to planning and organizing blue sheets myself, so this has been a new year for me to learn that. So I'm sure a lot of you have been doing blue sheets for years. If you also have advice or comments that you would like to give, please, you can even go in the comment section of this YouTube video and you can add some of your own comments and your own suggestions for the good of all, so that we can all help each other in planning purposeful blue sheets here at Providence. God bless you guys.